This video is for you if you're interested in your own training, if you really want to be able to learn and develop the knowledge and the skills to be able to be consistent in your training, to see improvement over time, and have more energy, to feel better and to just be stronger and to perform better in the mountains. I'm going to be going through what is essentially my training manifesto, these 9 points, succinctly as I can to help you understand why I do what I do. Okay, the first point that I want to hit on is nutrition, what you're putting into your body. The energy that you absorb through your food is ultimately the energy that you put into your training, and that's your output. I don't really do meal plans or diets. I don't think diets work. I believe in making little changes over time, measuring what helps you improve. The next point that I want to hit on is mobility. And this is your ability to move your body within great ranges of motion and still be strong. This really comes down to injury prevention, and it's so important to be able to keep training and keep performing in the mountains without being injured. So things like hips, knees, and ankles are always getting injured for those who are on their feet. For climbers who do a lot of upper body stuff, it's all about the shoulders, the fingers, sometimes the elbows. So being strong and mobile through those joints is going to go a long way to helping you stay at your best. Next point is periodization. You don't get stronger when you train, you are getting stronger while you're resting. That's the period of time where your muscles are going through their phase of repairing the muscle that's been torn in your training. That's when you're getting stronger. And if you don't allow for that rest and recovery time, you're simply not going to get stronger. You need to rest. You also need to ask the body for more, for that extra pull-up or that extra kilo of squat weight. You really need to ask the body for more, and we do that by pushing the limits a little bit at a time. The fourth point that I want to cover is about strength. You've heard me say this before, quoting Tony Nero, if you don't have the strength to pull one move, there's nothing to endure, and that rings true every single day of the week. You need to work strength first, and the endurance will come later. One of the major principles of strength that you should understand is something called time under tension. This was developed by Charles Poliquin. He's basically he calls himself the strength sensei. He's been around for a long time and he's well regarded in the world of strength training. Highly recommend you look into time under tension. Point 5 comes down to functional training, and this is a huge element for me. I really don't see the point on sitting on machines, isolating certain muscle groups. My kind of training is getting the whole body to work in unison, so we're working our coordination, stability, agility. We're getting the brain engaged with the body to be able to improve the way our body moves, and that's exactly what functional training is about. Point number 6 is keeping it relevant. So we don't want to be doing 15 hours of swimming every week if your goal is climbing mountains, because there's very few relatable movements between swimming and climbing. Swimming is a great exercise. I love it. I think it's something that would be amazing for you if you were to do every day, but the reality is that there's not a lot of crossover between swimming and climbing mountains, so you really have to pick what's relevant for your upcoming trip. Point 7 is making room for progression. So all of the exercises in my programs have progressions and they allow you to get better. If you're simply doing the same exercise week in, week out, and there's no development and you're not asking the body for more, as I mentioned earlier, then it's very unlikely that you're making the most. You're certainly not training optimally. So we want to make room and have accessible progression. Point 8 is about having lots of variety and keeping it fun and interesting. I don't know about you, but I get bored easily, so I find it really hard to do the same thing week in, week out. Whilst that does get results, I do try and change it up as much as possible. I'll switch a workout for, say, going surfing, or always if someone asks me to go climbing, I'm going to go and do that rather than do the workout I had planned. So it's important to keep it fluid and get as much variety in your training as you can, while still, 80% sticking to the plan. The final point, which is the most important, and this is more important than probably all the others put together, and that is if you can stay consistent, even if you're doing a training program that is not really optimal for you, you're still going to be better off than most people because you've demonstrated consistency week in, week out for a long period of time, and that goes a long way to helping you improve. So much of this comes down to accountability. That's why people pay me to program for them and keep them accountable. But honestly, a lot of that will come from you, and it comes with having the right mindset about your training, having the right support network around you, and it really comes down to creating those habits. So one thing that really helps me is getting up at the same time every day. I try and get up at 6:30 every day, which here in Spain is very, very early. And I don't do it every day, but I have one rule, and is that I never sleep in 2 days in a row. And that prevents me from losing that habit of getting up at that same time and going through my morning routine every day. And I think that has been the number one thing that has really helped me stay consistent with my training and for my work life, and to be able to get more videos done and to make more programs for you guys. So that is really my number one tip. Keep it a habit to not sleep in more than 2 days in a row. That's all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll have another video right here for you to jump into. Thanks for subscribing to the channel and hanging out with me. I'll see you in this next video.